fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons. Like diamonds. We are back, unchurched, talking about the power of community, talking about the power of community, possibly even making a massive impact in this country through fishing communities. And I'll explain what that means and exactly how I see that playing out and how you can be a part of it. And first and foremost, let's just talk about what's going on as I record this right now, and probably why you're listening to this. We are still right in the midst of this whole coronavirus worldwide pandemic. It has created a ton of fear, a ton of uncertainty, a ton of people lining up at grocery stores early in the morning. And once again, that's all based on just fear and scarcity and shortage and what's going to happen. Also seeing right now, I mean, crazy amounts of people filing for unemployment. I've already had a few friends who have lost jobs, and every night and every morning, I say my prayers and even write down what I'm thankful for and grateful for and who I'm praying for, and that list continues to keep growing. So if you are in that situation, man, let me know. I'd love to pray for you and possibly even help you find a job. There are some companies in some industries, who are doing well in the midst of any kind of crisis or recession. There are always going to be some clear losers and some clear winners. And I'll kind of give you some encouragement too throughout this podcast episode on ways that you can be thinking outside the box. I mean, just look at schools, for instance, right? My kids are home right now doing online learning. I mean, it's very similar to what we teach on the fishing world. Who would have ever thought 50 years ago that you could learn how to fish from the comfort of your home, right? Clearly, yes, you need to be out in the water to go put that to use. Just like golf, there's plenty of these online golf companies that teach you how to become a better golfer online. And I really believe any industry and any company can find some way to do that. Now, there's certainly some industries that it's really, really tough, but there's still some outside the box thinking that you can do if you start talking to your customers, asking them some of their struggles and challenges and finding solutions for it. I do believe that during times like this, some of the most ingenious ideas evolve. And if you look at even the history of some of the biggest companies in America, most successful, most of them actually started or were kicked off or really found their voice, if you will, and found their product in the midst of a recession. I mean, even companies like Walt Disney World, I mean, that really got its grounding and really figured out who they were and what they were doing during World War II. I mean, a lot of these really massive companies all took place during some of the worst of times. So let that be a little bit of encouragement in terms of just thinking outside of the box. So I was watching the video of Luke and I recently where we were doing a sheep's head tutorial and we lost our camera. And if you guys didn't see that, I'll put a link in the show notes to it, but let me explain just what happened. Luke and I, really for 5 years, we didn't have a full-time videographer. Sometimes the videographer got in the way. We hired a couple. Sometimes it was just not needed because we were doing our own editing anyways, and we kind of enjoyed it. But for lots of reasons, we just didn't have one. And so for many, many years, we would go out in the boat and we'd put the tripod up in the back, and it was pretty secure. And we'd have, our camera up there, and the camera's, $4,200 camera. And then you got mics, and each mic, those lavalier mics, those Sennheisers or whatever they're called, Sennheisers, they're $600 a pop. So, you're talking well over $5,000 and camera equipment sitting up on this tripod. And, for 4.5, really 5 years, we never had a single issue, never even had going overboard, not even like close, not a single time. So we never really worried about it. And I'm watching this footage because we ended up losing the camera, but saving the footage. I was able to actually pull the camera. I grabbed the tripod leg as this camera is going under about 12 feet of water, right under this bridge. It was going under, and I grabbed the tripod leg. I dove for it, got the camera up, clicked the little button to eject the little chip, and actually saved the chip, and we saved the footage. So as we're watching this footage, like, we're dying to see, what happened. And really, really crazy, we're under this bridge, and we're completely protected, at least we thought we were, by some of the guardrails there. And we heard this big boat coming from way behind us. So, our engine's off. We're sitting there. We're recording. We're doing a tutorial. Our engine's off. And I don't remember a lot of this stuff. They talk to people who were in accidents and stuff, and their story kind of changes to reality when you watch the video. So I didn't know exactly what happened. I had an idea, but when I watched the footage doesn't lie. 3 times I looked over. It was like I knew something was coming. Like, I was cautious. Like, I could hear this boat, and I could hear it not slowing down. But we were recording, and you actually see me 3 times peek over to see if this boat is slowing down. And then finally I heard it slow down. I could hear the engines slow down a little bit. I could hear this thing coming into at least a little bit more of an idle, and kind of forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, boom, this wave, it wasn't a rogue wave because we know where it came from, but it felt like that. All of a sudden, this massive wave, this boat had come in way too fast, way too far, didn't slow down in time, and had a massive wake behind it. And the wake actually wrapped around that guardrail and came and, rocked this boat, our little Maverick, big time, to the point the camera falls in and we lose, $5,000 worth of equipment, which was not insured, which was painful. And I tell you that story because I feel like it's so similar to what's happening right now. Even just a couple weeks ago, I remember kind of not laughing, but kind of in jest with friends, like, oh yeah, they're going to shut the schools down. Like, we're way overreacting. And we were cautious because we had seen what had happened in other countries. It was kind of like us, we're kind of looking behind us, right? We're looking at other places. We know something's not right. But at the same point, we're like, oh yeah, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And then all of a sudden this rogue wave hits, which is what I felt like happened here in America. This just felt like a rogue wave of all of these cases of coronavirus just came. And now all of a sudden we've lost the camera. It's chaos. It's panic. It's like, what the heck do we do now? And of course, this is going to cost our country trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And I quite honestly, I'm fearful that this could be, another Great Depression. I believe, and I was in the financial services at the time of 2008, 2009, and studied financial services. Even published a book about markets in general. And I believe one thing that we didn't do well, and this is going to be a big challenge going forward in 2007, 2009, is we didn't let enough things fail. And what I mean by that, let's just take your kid, for instance. If they just screwed up and failed and were burning through money, you don't just keep giving them money indefinitely. You don't give them $100 million if they just burn through $100 million. Now, it'd be different if it was just super tough times and you knew they had a good heart and they knew you had a good head and they weren't going to waste it. But I felt like in 2009, you can debate me all you want, but there were a lot of companies that just needed to fail, just like in the Great Depression. There was not all this papering of money. There were companies that failed and needed to fail and came out stronger because of that, right? Just like if you make your kid, you force your kid to go get a job and to go work hard and figure it out. Yeah, it's going to be painful. It might be brutally painful and a lot of tears and blood and sweat, but they're going to come out stronger and more capable, more independent because of it. And that's the analogy I want to give. I'm worried that we're spending too much stimulus money. And even though I don't want any of us to fail, including my company or yours, my fear is this papering is going to end up hurting us long term. And where I'm going with this is I feel like that 2008, 2009, we papered over some stuff that just still has a poor foundation. And that's my big worry. We'll see what happens. I'm praying it doesn't, that this does not just spiral into some massive Great Depression. But my fear is there were some industries, and I hope it's not yours, that should have failed and weren't let to fail because we just gave them bailout money and never actually fixed the problem. And now that we're going through this whole coronavirus thing, these companies and some of these industries are going to be exposed, and there's going to be no turning back, and they will fail. And it might be the very best thing that ever could have happened. It's going to be some serious pain for a lot of people. I believe we are going to hit record unemployment, at least for a lot of our lifetimes, and there's going to be some really, really scary times. All that being said, I did a lot of research, about fishing clubs when we started our Insider Club. And what was really interesting is fishing clubs started over in Europe and had really been around since like the 1700s. And in America, there was like a couple, here and there, and there's a few up in like New England and New Jersey, New York that claim to be some of the oldest in America, which I believe to be true. But really, these clubs like became a nationally known thing. Like people all of a sudden understood what a fishing club was. It was, imagine being the first fishing club. Like, what's a fishing club? Oh, it's where we meet together and talk about fishing. They really started flourishing and really started popping up everywhere during the Great Depression. That was a time where we had basically 25%, a quarter of Americans were unemployed. And even those who were employed didn't feel rich by any stretch of the imagination. Most of them were making just enough money to get by. And yet this was a time where anglers, fishermen, fisherwomen all came together, formed little communities where they lived just to be able to get away from the stress of life, just to be able to not have to think about all of the fear and all of the uncertainty out there. And what's interesting, doing a lot of the reading and research I've done, when they came together and united as fishermen in a community, it wasn't just about fishing. Right? I'm going to repeat that. It wasn't just about fishing. It was about community. And what I mean by that, they were praying together. They were helping each other out. If, Farmer Bob was having an issue and couldn't get a supply, they were connecting him with someone else who could. It became a network, not just to talk about fishing, but to get through life together, to get through one of the toughest times, or really the toughest time in their lives, and one of the toughest times in the last 100 years. And I tell you all that to let you know, that's really our big focus right now when Luke and I have been sitting down talking about just everything going on and the future of our company and even our legacy, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with Salt Strong. Right now, I'll be honest, we're looking strong. Most everyone is renewing their membership because they don't want to give up that community. They don't want to give up that ability to go online and to ask questions. And I want to let you all know one of our really big initiatives right now is to really turn this community, both our public one but more importantly our Insider Club, and that's our foundation. That's what keeps us going. That's what keeps our 7 employees and their families putting food on the table. So we always take care of our insiders first and foremost, but we are going to put a massive emphasis on seeing what other problems we can help solve. And I'll just give you a great example that came up here recently from an insider member. He's a small business owner, and he had 2 questions. One, like, hey, do I qualify to get any of this government money? And the numbers are pretty clear if you just go watch the news or read anything, but it's not clear for like small business owners. Is it on your gross income or your taxable income? Like, what if you had a company that brought in $400,000, but you only made $30,000 in terms of taxable income? There's all these questions out there about small business owners and really just Americans in general. If you're married, if you're filing joint. So we are going to start getting some experts and guests on the team here to talk about that and share, here's the best practices, here's some tax strategies of talking about loans. We went actually out yesterday fishing with an insider member, and they're having some serious trouble. I mean, just laid off 6 of their 7 people, kind of a trouble. And the only way they're going to sustain their business through all this is a small business loan, and had a million questions, like can't get answers on how to properly go out there and take advantage of some of this money that's going to be available as a small business loan. And so we want to get someone from the Small Business Administration on to talk about that and talk about all the pros and the cons and exactly how to do it, and just shortcuts to help you solve your problems. And so I tell you all that just to really share that I truly believe our community of anglers, of fishermen, can make a massive impact, not just to take everyone's mind off of all the stress and fear that's out there and to talk about fishing, talk about something that we all love, but to really become a network and a family and a tight-knit community that has each other's backs, that will pray over you if you need that will go to bat for you, that will connect you with someone else who might have a product or service that you might need right now. I mean, right now, as I record this, we're getting close to 13,000 members in our club, and those are the paid members, not the free ones who are like at 70 or 80,000 now. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that share your same beliefs and share your same hobbies and share your same love for fishing, that also are going through the exact same thing you are. There's no one in America, no matter how rich or poor or middle class you are, that is not being impacted and is going to be impacted by this. Even if you work for Publix and you're busy as can be, you're still going to be impacted by this in some form or fashion. So I tell you all that to let you know we are going to be putting a massive emphasis on community, because this isn't just about fishing for us. It's about community. It's about family. It's about uniting people and lifting each other up. And becoming a little bit more united, hopefully a lot more united. You know, we don't want to be part of the problem. And what I mean by that is we don't want to be something where this is stressing you out. And I'll throw this out there if you're still listening. So if you have some kind of financial problem, a hardship, you lost your job, and we've already had a few people who have reached out saying, guys, I love you. I love what you stand for. I love this community so much. I just lost my job. I can't afford it. We even want to throw out a deal where we'll do a 3-month, 5-month, whatever it is, however long you need to let you be a free member, just to make sure you don't leave. We do not want you giving up something that could be super helpful to you and possibly even help save your job or save some sanity for you. So if that's you, just let us know. Support@saltstrong.com. We do not want to be part of the problem. We do not want to cause more stress to someone's financial well-being or their family's well-being, especially during this tough time. So if that is you, or if you know someone who's like that could truly benefit from this, we want, and it's not going to be forever. We still have to make, we're a business as well, just like a lot of you small business owners, but I would rather get no money from some people and not lose them to have them be part of this community than to sit there and try to charge them the full price, knowing that this is going to hurt their family for the short term. So I would love to hear from you. One, if you are in that kind of issue right now, that kind of financial issue where you can't afford it, and two, just your number one problem, your number one challenge, your number one fear right now, I would love to hear from you, because that's going to be a big thing that we're doing. Why we're stuck inside for a lot of this. There's going to be some days where we just can't go out fishing, and we're going to spend that time creating content and working with experts to help our community of anglers get through this. I really believe we can make a massive impact, not just for our 13,000 or so, members in our Insider Club, but think about how many people we're touching and impacting every day as a community. I know I've met a lot of our Insider members, who do run companies and are doing big things in their church or in their charities, and are impacting and touching a lot of people every single day. So throughout these 13,000 people, we cast a really, really wide net. It is a massive trickle-down effect in terms of our network and our reach, and we want to help you guys succeed and be leaders and really just ultimately make an impact and create a really, really tight-knit community during this tough time. I'm praying for all of us. I'm praying that what I said earlier does not come true, but I do believe we'd be crazy not to at least be cautious. And just like I did with that boat, kind of keep turning your head and making sure that this thing is not going to have some rogue wave that just flatlines all of us. I think we would be only wise and only smart to be prepared for the worst and expect and kind of be confident and have enough faith in God that everything will come out okay, just like it did in the Great Depression. You know what? They've written books about that generation. They call them the greatest generation. You know, people like my grandparents who lived through that Great Depression as youngsters. And they became the greatest generation, became some of the best savers and some of the best business leaders of American history, because they had to live through that. So there's always going to be some kind of shining light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. None of us do, but all we can do is keep praying, keep moving forward, and don't let fear overtake you. And then finally, if you don't join our community, I hope you do. I hope you become an insider member. Join some kind of community. I really believe these fishing communities, just like they did in the Great Depression, are going to have a massive, massive positive impact, not just locally, but because of online now throughout this entire country. So hope to see you in the Insider Club. If you're having any kind of hardships, any kind of issues going on, let us know. We would love to find some deal that works out for you, even if that means you don't pay anything for a couple months, just until you can get back on your feet and things get better. We would love to make sure we retain you as a member, whatever it takes. Thank you guys so much for all the love, all the support. My email as well, if you want to copy me, is Joe, Joe, at saltstrong.com. I would love to hear from you, especially if you make it this far to the end. I love getting emails. The feedback is amazing. I do read every single one. I try to get back to every single one. Sometimes it takes a while because sometimes my email box gets a little bit flooded. But guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. I know that this is all happening for a reason. That we're going to come out so much stronger and so much better because of this. And I know for sure we're going to have to rely on community, and we're going to have to rely on family and network to get through this with all of our sanity. So guys, thank you again. Much love from Salt Strong and the entire Simons family. I will talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was past